This Sunday, watching I had the front door open, which I usually don't, but it was such a nice day. And all of a sudden, I heard a sound, and it sounded like someone had opened my back screen door. And my head went straight up, erect like that. And I listened intently. And as I listened, my heart was pounding. And then I heard the inside door close. So I got up off the couch and looked, and there was someone in my house. Someone without regard of consequences had entered my house. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and Toastmaster, what's going on? I'll get back to that. I was at Bowie's last week, and I was talking to the person next to me. I had just got done working out, and I was going to go to the pool. And he was just getting changed, and we started talking, and he told me that a couple weeks earlier, someone had broken into his locker. They broke into his locker and took everything out of it. They didn't leave anything. He said they even took my underwear. Nothing was left in the locker. He was standing there soaking wet from coming from the pool in the shower. Empty locker, lock in hand. He was perplexed. He was walking up to the front desk. He walked back down. He looked around. He didn't know what to do. You know, when my father was in the Army, he used to say that he could get paid and take his entire paycheck and lay it on his bunk. Go and take a shower and come back, and that money will still be sitting there because they had honor. They were a unified group, and no one would dare take money that belonged to someone else. What's going on in the world today? I'm the treasurer of the Powerball. Whenever it gets over 100 million, we all pitch in and we buy Powerball tickets, and we play the same numbers every time. And we haven't hit yet, but we're due.
Yes, tomorrow night, right? Yes.
Yeah. Matty, I don't see anymore, but we work together, and he was building up quite a tab, and I've been covering for him. And I was away on vacation. I got back, and I started calling him Monday. And I called him, and he did not return my call. I called him Tuesday. He did not return my call. I called him a few times on Wednesday. He did not return my call. To me, if someone calls me, 99% of the time I can remember in my whole life, if someone called me, I would at least have the courtesy to return the call. I think it's just a common thing. Someone calls you, no matter what it's for. Hey, sorry, I don't have it, Dan. I'll try to catch up with you, or I don't want to be in it anymore. Just something. Let me know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. I'm covering a guy. I'm going deeper in debt. Does he figure that his tab went up enough that he doesn't have to play anymore, and he's going to stiff me for like $50, $60? I don't get it. What's going on in the world today? And then, before I left, I was over at my accountant's, and her husband is a super salesman. They have their own business. And I pitched a business idea to them. And they were really excited. They even brought out wine, and we had glasses of wine, and they were very interested. And while I was away, they were going to contact a lawyer, and they were going to contact his brother who has a business and made $1 million on the internet. And they're going to have some information ready, whether we could do a non-profit and all this. And it was great. I came back from vacation. Monday morning, I called, figuring they got the information. This is a go. Well, they didn't return my call. I called them again. I called the husband. I called the wife. I called their house. They never returned, not even returned my call. Not, oh, we're not interested anymore. Nothing. I was starting to think my phone was dead. I tried calling my house just to listen to the answering machine. It's crazy. What's going on in the world today? Everyone knows there's a G20 summit here. People from all over the United States came to Pittsburgh to raise havoc, to disrupt, to cause problems on our city and the summit. What's going on in the world? They were breaking windows. And then it comes to Thursday afternoon, the day I went to the gym. I'm back from the gym, and I'm looking out my back door, and I see my neighbor walking out to his trash can. And we have a raccoon problem. They get into the cans and they knock the garbage over. So we keep blocks on our lids. He takes the block off, he sits on the ground. He opens up the lid. He takes a bag of trash out of the trash can. He sets it down. He puts the lid back on. He puts the block back on. And he walks back towards the house. What's going on? Earlier that day, whenever I was going to the gym, I had papers in my hand, and I'm running around all over to find my car keys. I'm holding these papers like this. Where are my car keys? Where are my car keys? They were on my little finger underneath the papers. I'm looking everywhere. Has anyone ever been in the shower and shampooed their hair and then wondered whether they shampooed their hair and then did it again and then realized, oh, geez, I just did this? Anybody? Thanks for thanks. I appreciate that. That's great. You know, my neighbor Armin has Alzheimer's, so it did not really surprise me too much when I saw that little incident with the trash thing. I thought it a little humorous. It started a few years ago, and every time I'd see him, he would say, "Dan, you working?" And I'd say, "No, Armin, I'm laid off right now." A second later, he would say, "So, Dan, are you working?" No, Armin, I'm laid off right now. A second later, "Dan, are you working?" Finally, I would say, "Yeah, I'm working good, Armin. How you doing?" They'd say, "Oh, that's great." And then he never asked me again. So that worked out good for us for a while. Maddie owes me this $50-$60. I get a phone call after the garbage incident. "Hey, Dan, what's going on?" I said, "You're the last person I expected to talk from." He said, "Hey, I left my phone up at camp. I just got up there. I left work early so I could drive up. There's like 20 missed phone calls from you. I thought we hit the Powerball or something." Like, he said, "Let's get together. We'll settle up." My accountant, I'm not waiting anymore. I get on my motorcycle. I drive up there. And I get there, and she's out playing basketball on the street. I'm like, "Hey, Dan, hey, Dad, what's happening?" And I say, "Hey, what's going on?" She said, "Oh, our closest friend is in the hospital, and me and my husband have been like helping out and stuff like that. We've been so busy. I haven't even been going to work. We've been trying to manage their money and everything like that. It's just terrible. So we won't have time to do anything." I'm like, "Oh, okay, no problem." I'm standing in Bally's, and I do another stupid thing. I'd taken the stuff out of my locker to put my swimsuit on, and I take my boots out, and I set them down. I'm like, "Well, what the heck did I do that?" I already had my gym bag out and everything ready to go. So I tell the guy next to me, I'm like, "See what I did? I took my boots out, and I'm trying to get my swimsuit." I'm like, "Stupid, you know, what's going on? Am I getting Alzheimer's? Am I catching it from my neighbor or what?" And he says, "You got to hear what happened to me. That's nothing. A couple weeks ago, I came back, unlocked my locker, and it was empty. I didn't know what to do. Everything's gone. They took everything. I'm walking around soaking wet. I walk up, I'm telling the management, I'm looking around. I start looking around, here the locker next to it had all my clothes and stuff in it. I had put my clothes in the locker, closed the door, and then locked the locker next to it. Geez, crazy. I said, what happened to me one time was I went out to my Jeep, and I keep a remote thing underneath it. So I'm looking for it, and I'm like, how the heck could it fall off? I got duct tape, tie wire. I'm like, I stood back, I'm like, what the heck's going on? It was then that I realized my Jeep was 2 cars down. When I heard the inside door close of my house, it was then that I stood up off the couch, and it was exactly what I expected. Armin came to my house by mistake. So I said, "Armin, what's going on?" He said, "Are you leaving?" And I said, "No." "Are you?" He says, "No." He says, "I'll tell you what." He says, "I'll let you out, and then you knock on the door, and I'll let you back in." I said, "Okay." So I walked outside, closed the screen door, knocked on it. He opened the door and said, "Come on in." I said, "Great. You want to go watch a Steeler game?" He said, "All right." So he sat on the couch, we watched the Steeler game together. I called his wife to let her know because she was obviously worried about where he was. And it ended in a happy ending. And I want to close with 3 points. The first one is, someone once said that the key to happiness is good health and a bad memory. And oh, I actually forgot the other.
Very nicely done.